Hello,
Hi.
everyone. Hi, Miss Carissa. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Welcome to Lunch and Learn live with South Bay Wellness and the team today. We're excited to have you all. It is a big week because Mother's Day is coming up soon. And I think that that is certainly cause for us to talk a little bit about women and women's health and specifically the juggle of being a mom and staying healthy. I mean, I don't know about you, Carissa, but it is. I don't sit here and speak you guys as if everything in my own life is perfect because I am like the rest of you, the mom with the juggle and trying to keep all the balls in the air and keep everything going. And it certainly is an art and
Mm-hmm.
a dance
Yes.
and a constant it's constantly there for us to remember that hey, we've got to take care of our kids, but we've also got to put the oxygen mask on, so to speak, and take care of ourselves, which I don't know, as women sometimes we forget that because we put everybody else. And I mean, how many of you who are watching, how many of you find yourselves at the bottom of the list? So that happens so often. I mean, you see it all the time with our clients, right?
Oh, yeah. Even with myself, like you said, there are times where I'm doing fabulous, wonderful, everything's going, and then something can kind of throw a wrench in, and then I
Hmm.
have to rebalance.
Hmm. Yeah, it is always about it's so funny because I think that there is this an illusion that there is always perfect balance, or like we're striving for this place of perfect balance. And I don't know that perfect balance actually exists. I think we need to come to a place where we're kind of able to decide, okay, well, this is the area where I need to put my focus, and this is the area where I need to put my focus, and this is the area where I need to put my focus. And sometimes they're not always in perfect harmony and perfect balance. And that's just the case. I was speaking with someone not too long ago who had some concerns like, how am I gonna go through and make these health changes, and I have a 2-year-old, right? But you guys, if we're not taking care of ourselves, then we don't have enough left to actually provide the life that we want for our own children. So moms, you've got to put yourself on that list, and unfortunately you've got to make the time for yourself too. I don't know. Carissa, what are some of your tips or tricks for balancing like being a mom, having a job, taking care of your health, like all of those things?
Well, I try to set time for myself, and usually those times aren't my favorite times. It means waking up a little bit earlier
Yeah.
or just having things settled down at night a little bit earlier.
Yes.
So it does involve that, which can kind of get me out of my comfort zone because sometimes I just like things in routine. But once you start building that routine, it does get easier. I myself try to focus on my stress levels
Yeah.
because I feel like they impact my, and as well as my eating, I feel like they impact my hormonal health the most. And
Hmm.
those are the most simple things that I have control over that I can do for myself. Like, reducing stress, they're all my favorite things to do. Like, I love doing yoga, I love breathing, and I love meditation, and I love spending time out in nature. So I try to do those things. And there are plenty of times where I fall short,
Hmm.
but I try not to fall short on all of them.
Yeah.
It's the key for me. You know what I mean? Like if I'm not able to go grounding because it's too cold and, I'm a little wimp when it comes to that, or if I can't make it to the yoga studio, I try to, give myself the 10-15 minutes for meditation. Doesn't have to be an hour, although I'd like it to be. But if I only have 10-15 minutes, I do that.
I love that. You know what? I think sometimes we get caught up, especially as women, in that like realm of perfection. It's like, okay,
Mm.
well, I can't do it perfect and I'm just not going to do it all. And you guys, the
Mhm.
truth is, it's like some effort is way better than no effort at all. So it's like, okay, if you can't do an hour of yoga, but you can find 10 or 15 minutes to just sit quietly, then take that 10 or 15 minutes and just sit quietly. Because at the end of the day, that 10 to 15 minutes gives you the opportunity to be a better mom, to be a better wife, to be a better parent, to be a better you. But when we constantly like just take it off our list because maybe there's not an hour, there's only 10 minutes, then we never get to see that momentum. We never get to move forward. So it is about, maybe it's not perfect, but at least I'm putting in whatever time or effort that I can. The other thing, Carissa, I think that happens a lot with moms too is there's like this level where we think we need to do everything, like, but we can
Yeah,
ask our kids to help with the laundry. We can ask our kids to help vacuum the floors. We can actually it's a good thing for our kids to take on some of that responsibility and say that vacuuming floor takes you 10 minutes or 30 minutes. That's 10 minutes or 30 minutes that you've now given your child ownership of something and also given yourself some space to maybe find some areas to take care of yourself. I think
agreed.
that's important.
And it does alleviate stress because I'm very much like that, where I probably tend to like to control things a little bit.
I
So I tend to try to do everything and then I wear myself out.
mm-hmm.
But when I incorporate my children in the mix, it's actually really wonderful as long as I step back. Like I
Yeah.
have to step back and let them do it their way. But
Yes.
it is very helpful because when my daughter fractured her wrist and
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't do the chores that she was doing, I was like, oh my God, I miss you so much.
Yes.
I can't wait for you to get better because, and I think it helped her feel good too, because
Mm-hmm.
she's a part of, and we're a family and we're a unit. So
Exactly.
it's helpful for those,
Yeah,
for
we
that.
talk about that in my house a lot. It's like, hey guys, we're on a team. If you didn't wash
Yeah.
that dish, it doesn't matter that if you didn't use that dish, it doesn't matter that you didn't use the dish. You see there's dishes in the sink, like clean them up because we're a team and we
Hmm.
all need to, pull together and step up and support one another, because
Hmm.
we all live in the same house in the same environment. We can't just rely on mom to do every single thing. So, those of you who are watching live, hello. I see a bunch of you out there. Say hello to us in the chat
Yay.
box. Tell us what you're hearing. And if you are a mom, tell us about, how you take care of your health as a mom, because that is our topic for today. So, Carissa, the other thing that you mentioned that I think is a really hot topic is hormonal health.
Mm.
And you said some key things that are pivotal to hormonal health. There is this trend today that we need to go and do synthetic hormones and things like that. And those of you who know our practice, that is not something that we subscribe to. And the reason being is, if you're a client of ours, like our main way to get hormones balanced is naturally. That's your stress levels, that's your diet, that's your supplementation, that's your lifestyle habits that actually maintain that hormonal balance. I mean, first of all, if we are always stressed out, then our hormones are going to be out of balance, right?
Yeah.
If we're eating a diet that some of our clients I'll find, before they get started and really get those lifestyle habits down, they might not be eating enough, right? Because they're too busy doing all these other things in their life that they forget to eat. And sometimes it's like by the time they remember to eat, they're so famished that they're just grabbing whatever there is to grab because now they're their body's like, hey, give me food right now. And they're not having the time to plan out or make choices that they really want to be making. So I see the outside of the coin or the other side of the coin, where it's like there's so much stress that you find yourself binging and just eating things that you don't want to be eating on that side of the coin. But if we are taking things in that are damaging to our body, then it is going to disrupt our hormonal balance. You guys have heard me say a million times before, your liver, your gut, pivotal to making sure that your hormones stay out of balance. And I know I know as moms, right? We always want to be the best parent that we can be. And I have worked with so many women to know now that sometimes when there's stress, when there's those hormonal shifts, when all of those things, we might find ourselves getting angry or upset or snapping at our kids, or being impatient. And it's not that we want to in our heart. It's just that there is nothing left to give. So if we don't actually stop to take the time to take care of ourselves and balance the hormones and so on and so forth, then we end up in that position. I mean, I'm sure you hear
I've
about
been in that position. Even myself, I've been in that position. And it's not fun because you don't really understand what's going on.
it.
And, then you guilt and you shame yourself. And
Yes.
it's this terrible cycle when it's such an easy thing to fix. It truly is. Once you get your hormones in balance through diet, through exercise, through stress reduction, it's amazing what happens. I mean, I know I felt like a completely different person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you start to take care of yourself, as a woman, you start putting yourself on the list as a priority to prepare your food, to eat well, to manage your stress, to sleep, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
To get support and the guidance that you need, then yes, then you get your energy back, you get your vitality back, you get your mood back. It's like you're not riding that roller coaster
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And the more even keel we are, I mean, just the better off our health is in general.
Yeah. And I would have to say, too, it's a lot easier to teach my children to
Hmm.
live healthy if I'm living healthy, because then it's almost like I'm a fraud. Because I've been there, too, where I'm like, don't eat that. Don't eat that. You shouldn't be eating that while I'm eating it. Or
Yes.
an hour later, I'm like, let's go get ice cream, right? It's great, great idea.
We have all been there.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is really important to touch on too as moms and maintaining your health as a mom is community, and really having a tribe, having other women are meant to be with women. You guys, we are meant to be there to support one another. I mean, you go back in time and you go back to tribalism, like that is part of the way that we as human beings are designed. We need that community, we need that connection. And so having a support network, having some close friends, having people who have your same goals and same commitments where you can talk about, hey, you know what? I'm having a really tough time. I need to figure out how I'm going to get my exercise in every day. Or, hey, I'm having a really tough time. I don't even know where I fit in to the picture. Like having the back and forth, because when we have conversations with ourselves in our head, it doesn't usually go very far.
Mm-hmm.
Two heads or more are better than one, but we also, even like we know from our retreats, Carissa, that
Oh, yeah.
you can bring together a group of women who are completely different, come from different walks of life, have different experiences, different backgrounds, but we're all dealing with some of the same things. So having that space to be vulnerable, having that space to just be able to get support is really important.
It's huge. I should have touched on that too, because I would have to say that is also a really big thing to have, like being able to share with people and knowing that you're not alone and having that
Yeah.
connection and community is incredibly important. That's why I tell people also, like, always come to group coaching, like be
Yeah.
involved, because it's so, I mean, the world is hard enough out there.
Yeah.
So to be able to bring people in that are like-minded and have the same goal and same purpose is extremely beneficial.
Yeah. And it's validating too, right? Like we get to be validated. Oh, wow, I had that issue, or I had that deviation, or I had that weak moment. And then you start to beat yourself up, but then you realize that other people are doing the same thing. And then not only can you strategize together, but you realize like, oh my gosh, I am human and I don't have to beat myself up over this. I just need to come up with new solutions and ideas
Mhm.
and strategies, to move myself forward. So that's key. So those of
Mhm.
you who are watching, type into the chat. Tell us a little bit about what you're hearing. What questions are you having? Tell us what you want us to talk about as well in terms of mom, being a mom, women's health, all of those different things, because it's important. So we want to hear from you. So go ahead and type in the chat box. Carissa, I think the other really important part is the accountability piece,
Mm,
because as moms, it's like we're juggling so many different balls that sometimes it is easier to put ourselves at the bottom of the list when we don't have the accountability. Like people are surprised. Well, you're Dr. Z, like you've got it all handled. And it's like, no, I'm human and I've got to work through all my stuff in life too. So, yes, I have a practitioner that I work with to make sure that I keep my health in check.
mhm.
I need someone to look from the outside, just like everybody needs someone to look from the outside. I've got my accountability group that keeps me accountable for my fitness. I got my accountability group for the business to keep me moving forward in the business. So we need those different support systems. And I know, I mean, that's what you're doing with everybody day in and day out too, is just providing that accountability. I mean, what do you see in the difference that makes?
Well, I even see it for myself too, because I explain that to clients also. Like every successful person, in my understanding, has a coach also. And
Yeah.
I too also have people that I go to for accountability and
Yeah.
healing and all these different avenues that I want to elevate in. And so it's so important to find that. And I feel like when clients show up in that manner and they're consistent in that manner, that, I mean, they're always crushing their goals.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing, right? It is having that outside structure and that outside support.
Mhm.
Again, getting out of our heads, getting out of our little microcosm, and having somebody else over there that's also going to help us make sure that we are staying on track. And that's sometimes hard, because sometimes I don't want to hear, well, hey, you did everything for your kids, but you didn't stop to take care of yourself. Or how come you were up, 3 nights in a row until 11 p.m. versus, getting yourself into bed earlier to make sure that you were well rested for the next day. So sometimes having that truth is like, oh, yeah, like we start to see it in a different way. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, but sometimes, like I always say, it's like there's always a stuff that's going on back here. And when we can't see this stuff, there's nothing that we can do about it. But when
Mhm.
we've got someone else that's being like, okay, let's bring it to the forefront. Here's what's happening. Do you see it? Do you see it? And you're like, oh, I see it. Now
Yeah.
you can actually deal with it, contend with it, come up with some solutions for it. Makes a
Mhm.
really big difference.
Really big difference.
Yeah. So what kind of advice, words of wisdom do you have for our mamas out there?
Well, I would just like them to know that it's okay to put yourself first. I feel
Mhm.
like there's a lot of guilt and shame that surrounds that. Um, and the more that you put yourself first, the better your life will be for yourself and your family and the community around you. So keep showing up for yourself. Um, Keep joining our groups, keep putting yourself out there, keep being vulnerable, and let's strive to the goals together.
I love that. Absolutely. Totally love that. And you guys, I invite all of you to really, we touched on it, to understand that our kids are always looking at what we're doing, not just what we're saying. And so then we're out there living healthfully and taking care of ourselves. And that becomes a priority for our kids too. Right. Sometimes when there's teenagers, it doesn't always seem that way. But just know that what you're instilling in them is there for the long term, and they're gonna see our actions even more than they hear our words.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. But you guys, it takes a lot to be a mom.
Yes.
So if you jump into the chat box, how many kids do you have? How many kids do you have? I have a girlfriend of mine who is pregnant with baby number 11, and I'm just like in awe. Like, how do you do that? I've got four, and I'm like, some days I'm like, I don't even know how I don't know where the day goes or how it all passes. But drop in the chat box, how many kiddos do you have? And then Miss Carissa, what's our closing words of wisdom today for all you mamas out there?
Hmm. Just keep going. And like you said, I think touching on the point that your children are always watching, I think it's crucial to understand that your children want a happy mom. They want a mom that takes care of themselves because that helps them feel good about it too. And like you said, it helps them to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
So I think that's, I didn't understand that for a large portion of my life, but I certainly do now.
Yeah. And I invite all you moms to treat yourself like you would treat your children.
Yeah.
Yourself like you would treat your children. You'd make sure that they had their food, they had their water, they're well taken care of. And you deserve that too.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful Mother's Day week. Happy Mom's Day to
Happy
all
Mother's Day.
there. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.